Big Drive Energy Live Thursday, not a Wednesday, not a hump day. It is a Thursday. We both back from some trips to warmer weather, back in our current home states with a little winter around us, but we've got some golf to talk about. We're going to talk about Hideki Matsuyama winning the Hero World Challenge. We've got some golf from Australia, down under. We'll see if we can get Mitchell to do an Australian accent. A pretty high-profile PGA Tour player was thought to be headed to LIV, along with another one, and both have now, apparently, according to reports, allegedly backed out. So we're going to talk about those guys and kind of what the LIV Tour looks like. One of the players that's played on the LIV Tour for the last couple of years, maybe attempting to make a jump back to the PGA Tour. We're also going to do What the Fuck Thursday instead of What the Fuck Wednesday. And that's all coming to you in the next 30 seconds. All right, let's tee it up. Big Drive Energy on a Thursday.
Oh, shit.
Both back from a little vacay. Let's start out with that. How was Charleston this time of year? I mean, I was in Orlando, and it was actually kind of rainy and a little bit cold. Not cold, but I have this thing that I think when you go somewhere warm, you feel like it's colder than it really is because you think it should be warm. And so like 60 is not warm.
Bless you. Oh, God, he's about to rip one. Wow, mute button on point. Yeah, I went through the same thing. Excuse me. It was pretty cold in South Carolina, like relative to what I thought it would be. So the most I brought was a quarter zip, and turns out that was not nearly enough clothing. And so I feel like I've caught a slight cold now, which is a fucking absolute bummer.
Traveling always does that to you, though. Traveling does that to anyone. I feel like when you're on a plane and in all those germs, not masked up from the feet up, you're going to get a cold. That's just how it goes.
Yeah, but I will say, like, I wash my hands vehemently. Like, I wash them probably a dozen times a day, obviously using the restroom, but then anytime I go out in public and get home, I immediately wash my hands. It's just something that I feel like we were raised to do. Just wash your hands before you do anything. So it could be that, but it legitimately was so cold in South Carolina relative to what I thought it was going to be. And it legit was like bone chilling cold. When we finished our round yesterday, I didn't even play the last 3 holes because it was so fucking cold and dark that these idiots, Oliver and his brother Noah, are battling it out. Can't see fuck all. I had to actually hold a flashlight over the 18th hole for Oliver so he can putt out. I'm like, you dumb motherfuckers. I'll pay you the $10 or whatever, because we were obviously gambling a little. I was like, I am done with this shit. I'm sitting in the cart. I know that sounds like, poo-poo energy. Not Oliver's like, you sure? And I'm, yeah, there's no question in my mind that I'm done with this round of golf. And it was fun. I mean, it was enjoyable. I was using his old sticks and then a combination of, I used his driver a few times, his wedges a few times. And it is so wild using somebody else's clubs. Like, you have and especially with how long I've had the clubs that I'm using right now, it's not like I'm switching up all the time. So when I go and use a different set, it is definitely rocks my world a little bit, but hit a lot of good iron shots. I would say the driver was odd for sure. And the wedges were weird. Like I think for me personally, like being a short game guy, self-proclaimed, when I get used to wedges and I feel comfortable with my wedges, I can't use anything else. It takes probably the most adjustment period out of all my clubs is with my wedges. So I struggled a little bit there. I think I shot like 41 on the front 9. And that was with a couple of just stupid. Like I 3-putted a couple times. So I didn't really hit the ball poorly, all things considered. And then I was probably a couple over par on the back nine. So it wasn't the most impressive thing in the world, but it was gorgeous. If you follow us on Twitter or X nowadays, I posted a picture from the back nine at Stono, and right there on the river. I don't know if there's many views that I enjoy more than that, with all the boat docks right there going out to the ocean, and you're just those couple holes right there, the par 3 and the par 4 right on the river, are probably some of my favorite golf holes I've ever played, just from a view standpoint. So I always just enjoy getting out there. But I was freezing my ass off, and then I was trying to drink to make myself warmer. So I don't know if that then contributed to me not feeling as good today or what, but it was a fun trip. Don't get me wrong. It was very quick. I flew down on Monday night, back on Thursday morning. But yeah, I wish it wasn't as cold as it was, because as you can hear by my voice right now, it's a little hoarse. And I was kind of, there's some days where you're like ripping ready to do the pod and like stoked for it. And I'm never not stoked for it, but today I was just like, oh fuck, I gotta like talk. And this is one of the few times where I would prefer not to talk, but I feel like I just told you before the episode, I'm like, let's just keep it to like 45, 50 minutes. It's going to go like an hour 5 for sure. It's just how our pods operate. Like we always just find something else to talk about, or one subject leads to another. So, but yeah, how was your trip down to Orlando? You were there for the MLB owners meeting, which is pretty wild. Just looking at you and thinking that you're a journalist, but give us a few things that you didn't expect that happened. Like what was in just the environment? Like, was it super stuffy? Was it laid back? All of that.
Well, so I can give you a summation of the weekend in one tweet that I saw yesterday that I sent to Christian, who's the other guy that does the Rockies with me. This guy tweeted, things I learned from winter meetings. Everybody that works in baseball is either 5'8" or 6'4", and there was the most quarter zips per capita of any event in the history of the world. And so that right there about sums it up. No, it was cool to see. You'd see a bunch of different players, and not a ton of current players. Obviously, Dylan Cease was there because he signed a big contract, so they had a whole press conference for him. And of course, there was some breaking news on some different MLB signings during the winter meetings. But I think the craziest part was just being able to go up into the Rockies suite, like at the hotel. It's funny because it was the Waldorf Astoria Hotel, and then it was connected. It was just a big resort. And first of all, Firefest, but not being able to play golf when I could see the golf course from every room I was in out the window was pretty rough.
And the course looked pretty pure too. Like
it was pure and it was empty. And I could have pulled a PGA scenario maybe and gotten myself on there for free, because I'm not paying like $300 to play somewhere. Like these people have way more money than I do. But all the teams and officials were in the Waldorf Astoria area. And then there was the other hotel where all the media and us muggles, or whatever you want to call us, stayed at. So you could definitely tell there's a different vibe, but it was kind of crazy to just like get a text.
I thought you told me you stayed at the Waldorf, and I was like, damn, they put you up there. But
no, I mean, we had to pay out of our own pocket for our hotel room. It was still $270 a night at the place we stayed, but it was nice because we didn't have to Uber or Lyft to, like, the winter meetings were down in the convention room, the media room. I mean, it's very similar to covering a golf tournament, really. A lot of people just sit in the media room. Not a lot goes on. I have another question. I'm sorry to cut you off, but where do you stand? So did you and Christian share a room? And where do you stand? Okay. Where do you stand with grown men sharing hotel rooms? Like, is there at what point do you think you'll be like, I don't care what it costs, I am not staying with another dude? Like, oh, I don't think it's an age thing. I think it's a finance. Like, no way I was paying $50. Yeah, exactly. Like, we split. I didn't really sleep there the first night, to be honest, because I didn't get there until 5:30 in the morning.
I was like, you fucking getting that Orlando nightlife in, or what?
No, I took an overnight flight. And so I got there at like 5:30, and nothing started till like 8 or 9. which was nice. So I didn't have to like go straight to anything. I went back to the room and went to bed for like 2 hours and then woke back up and ended up going down to the winter meetings. But kind of the same like issue that you had, where I didn't bring a jacket. I just brought, the only thing I wore was because it was Sunday night when I flew out, and I wore my SpongeBob SquarePants Broncos hoodie. And so I just had to live nipping out in the media room, because in Orlando, it's one of those places in Florida where they keep the interior of the buildings just ice cold. So I was freezing my ass off basically the whole time. And even going outside when we were going, like we'd go on some walks around the property of the golf course when there's nothing to do for a little bit. And I just couldn't, like and I'm already a pussy when it comes to being cold, but my backpack could not have fit one more thing in it. I didn't want to bring an extra bag. I just wanted to bring my backpack. So I stuffed everything in there. We're at 2 days of clothes worth and some hats and, underwear, socks, the main fixins for a little trip. But I was freezing, and I didn't have any sort of jacket. And it was a fun time though. It was wild to just see like all these reporters that you watch on TV just walking around, the live set in the middle of it, former players like Nelson Cruz, and then seeing all the managers and current and past managers, especially all the current ones that are all players pretty much, or former players that are just, I watched play baseball as a kid. And now I'm like, it just was one of those, you get more of those moments as you get older of like the, oh fuck, I'm this old moment. And that's how like watching Skip Schumacher do his introductory press conference for the Rangers, really, as the new manager there. And I'm like, dude, you just played like 5-10 years ago. I was watching you play for the Cardinals, and now you're the leader of a baseball team. And so it was kind of one of those I'm old moments. There was a lot there. You have a lot of those. I do, at least
for sure,
every once in a while, but there was a lot of that there, and a lot of kids looking to get internships walking around, and just kids in high school kids, and then scouts, and
just
it was just like
at the big journalism teat.
Yeah, just it's funny because a lot of people go there to have as many conversations as possible, and I wanted to have as few conversations as possible. Like that's just
generally how you live your life.
Yeah, and so, but getting to go into the Rockies' actual suite and sit down at just their conference room table and ask their president of baseball operations pretty much any questions you wanted, it was insane. They just like text us, hey, this happened. We're going up to the suite and then the Rockies officials would bring us up there, let us into the suite. We'd sit there and talk to them, and then we'd leave.
So wait, are these people staying in this suite, or this is just where you're doing interviews?
No, that's where they were staying. Like they were staying in, like we'd go to there was honestly one hotel room. It is, but there was the one place where we did most of these interviews. It was a hotel room, like a suite technically, and there was a door. You know how the doors go from room to room.
Scenario.
A little bit, but there was no beds. It was like an old hotel room that had 2 queen beds, and there's just no beds in it. And it was the other half of a room that then you know how you open the door and go from hotel room to hotel room. Like that's where their beds and they were actually sleeping were. But then the other room was just like, they took the beds out and they just fucking put a table there essentially. So,
okay. It's a huge place for getting an internship right out of college. I really didn't consider that. Like, who do you even, and props to these people that just go out and get boots on the ground and try to drum up conversations and get an internship or whatever. But who the hell do you even talk to? Like, I can personally say whenever we've had credentials at golf events, I do not feel comfortable like getting outside of my box and going and talking to some random dude that I have no idea who he is. Definitely more important than me, because I'm probably the least important person at almost every event that I've ever been credentialed at. But yeah, I cannot imagine just going down there and fucking trying to drum up some business, trying to get a member or an internship. That would be pretty wild to me. I don't think I would feel comfortable doing that.
Yeah, it was, I was definitely a little out of my comfort zone. I feel a little bit more comfortable now, but the Rockies media and their team it's actually a really fun team of media that cover the team, older dudes, just funny people that you get to spend, a day and a half, 2 days with. And we went out to Disney Springs on Monday night, which is just, I guess, like an adult. There's no rides, but it's like a little
Dave
city.
and Buster's scenario.
No, it's like a little city essentially where there's a bunch of restaurants and a boardwalk, and yeah, it's not like actual Disney, but we just went there to eat dinner and went to some Irish pub and walked around there and there was a bakery there, which I didn't even know the name of it, but we were there at like 7:30 p.m. on a Monday night, and the line was 250, 300 people long, just constantly filtering into this bakery. And it's like a 1 out, 1 in scenario. So it was just, Disney in general. That's part of my what the fuck Thursday. So I'll save that for later. But yeah, it was it was a pretty fun trip and just cool to be around all those people. Not all that much happened, but then, like right before we flew out, the Rockies were like, hey, we're about to officially announce, 4 different new pitching coaches / pitching directors. Once that's announced, you guys can all come up to the suite again. We'll take any questions on that. And then you can write your stories or do your videos or whatever you need to do and get out of here. So it was cool. It was really cool to just be, and like having the Rockies new vice president, if you will, I guess is the right term, on our podcast. And then him like coming out to me and recognizing me at the suite over everybody, all the other media that was there, and like shaking my hand and asking me if I got a haircut and shit. It was like, it was a pretty cool feeling. I was like, fuck you all.
Suck it. I'm big time.
Yeah,
now.
suck it. Yeah.
You're all dead to me.
Exactly. Like the owner's family of the Rockies is coming up to me and shaking my hand before all you muggles. So get bent.
What did you just watch Harry Potter recently? What's this use of the term muggles?
No, it's actually I've heard it it's probably from Harry Potter, but D-Mac from the radio here in Colorado, he's always called the media muggles. So it's just kind of stuck in my head I don't want to say journalists, because that's definitely, I'm not one of those for sure.
Big J. Well, let's talk a little football before we get into golf. What did you think of the college football playoff situation? What the whole Alabama every year? It's like death, taxes, and Alabama getting a spot they don't deserve in the playoff.
Yeah, it's such a clusterfuck, dude, and it's fun because like on one hand, I'm excited for schools like Tulane and James Madison to make the college football playoff because of the intricacies of the rules and how they qualified for it.
And this might be the only year ever. Like they might change this depending on how rough the games come out from Tulane and James Madison, because they just changed these rules on a whim. So this might be the only year that like 2 group of 5 teams get in ever.
Yeah, and it's cool that they did, because what that signifies is that if you have a good enough season and you're in Division I college football, you have a chance to make the college football playoff, which is nuts and bolts kind of what I believe. If you go 12-1 or 11-0 or whatever they went in their schedules, like you should make the college football playoff. But at the same time, if you look at it from the other side of the coin, Notre Dame, who's not in, would be a 4-point favorite against either of those teams if they played today. So It's like, are the best teams really getting to play in the tournament? And so I think it's crazy. It's so funny because like, remember, I don't remember when they went to 12 teams, if it was last year was the first year. I think last year was the first year they went to 12.
This year's the first year.
No, last year was a 12-teamer, because I remember Arizona State won the Big 12 championship, and then they got a bye, and Boise State won the Mountain West and got a bye.
Last year was first year 12 team.
Yeah, but I remember the last year of the 4-team playoff, it was like, oh, I can't wait to go to 12 because there's going to be no discrepancies, no variables, no teams that shouldn't getting in, and now we're here, and it's just like, oh, maybe we need to go to 18, maybe we need to go to fucking 24, maybe we need to go to 64.
Yeah,
it's created a whole clusterfuck. But
yeah, that's my favorite part, is just the drama surrounding it. No matter what, there's going to be teams, no matter how many teams you have in the playoff, there's going to be teams that feel slighted, that think they should have gotten in. I was honestly kind of shocked. I love Vic Lombardi. I would call him somewhat of a personal friend, but he's gone on a tirade about Notre Dame football. like almost to the point where I've had to mute him on Twitter because I'm like, bro, I can't. He's like reply guy to all these people on Twitter talking about Notre Dame not being in a conference and read this article. Like, how does this make sense? I'm like, bro, we get it. Notre Dame should be in the playoff, but he was just going to bat for Notre Dame on every social media platform, like fucking crazy. But yeah, there's always going to be teams that feel slighted, that feel like they should have been in. But yeah, I think if Tulane and James Madison both get blown out, then it's going to be a problem. But just the idea of college football home playoff games, I think is so fucking cool. And just talk about revenue to the schools, exposure, NIL money, you know, the whole bit. It's really good for college football, but where do you ultimately think they land? Like, I think it's got to be 16 and that's it. Like 16, just
or 12 with a play-in of 4 teams, which would be 16. Same like the same as today, but add, you know, there'd be a game before it with like Notre Dame.
Yeah.
And it'd be like Notre Dame, Tulane, and then like a BYU versus James Madison. And then it turns into 12 and goes forward the way it was going. But
so it's
I think the thing
16 because if you're
no, it'd be 14 technically. 14 playing into 12. Like the last 4 teams, there'd be 10 teams that are in.
You're saying 4 teams play in. Okay.
Yeah, two play in games essentially.
I thought you were saying 4, like 8 through 6 or 8 through 16 play 4 games, and I'm like, well, then you just get back to 12.
No. It would be 12. It would be a 14 team playoff. 1 through 10 would be seeded like it is now. 1 through 4 getting a bye. 5 through 10 getting a not even a home game. I guess 2 of those games would be scheduled, and then there'd be 2 play-in games. Each of those 2 play-in games feeds into one of the bowl games where they're the away team. And I think that's. But dude, have you guys seen? Have you seen the like some of the people that are talking about doing bowl games at the beginning of the season?
What the fuck? No.
Yeah, like, and I actually think it's kind of a legit idea because if you think about it, like you would do a bowl game at the start and then there would be no bowl games at the end. Obviously, it would just be the playoff. Like the playoff would still be at the end after everything's
But a bowl game is based on merit and how much you win that year.
Think about the seeding of
yeah.
I don't know. And I also think they feel like they should just do away with conference championships. I don't know if that.
It's all money though, dude. They're not going to do away with conference championships when they sell out the Mercedes-Benz Dome in Atlanta for the SEC championship every year. And it's I'm sure $100 million day for every, businesses in that area and for TV rights and all of that. But they have to make it then to where the conference championships matter, because if it mattered, then Alabama would be out 7 days a week this year. So that is the annoying thing. And I mean, conference championships are cool. Like I enjoy them, but they just need to mean something. It's not rocket science. Like the conference championship, and the toughest part is then you have teams that don't make the conference championship that still get in the playoff, but they actually almost look better because they don't have the opportunity to lose. Like if Alabama didn't make the conference championship, we would be looking at them probably differently than we are now. So,
but Ole Miss doesn't even play in the conference championship, and they just go into the playoff looking like a good team outside of the whole Lane Kiffin scenario. But just the team on the actual field is, it's just they didn't have a chance to play in it. Also, with football related, I want to get into the most insane, I think, story. I just had an alert. Well, no, I don't even want to go down that path.
I mean, that shit's crazy, though.
Yeah, no, I'm not going down the Sharon Moore path because that's too alleged for me to give a take on it, because everything's alleged right now. Everything that's alleged is going to come out that it happened, but I don't even want to touch that. I want to touch the fact that a grandpa is playing in the NFL. I just got an alert. Phillip Rivers is on track to start this week against Seattle for the Indianapolis Colts. And that has to be one of the most insane stories around sports in years. And it's not like he's playing the Dallas, I guess Dallas Cowboys defense has been a little better recently, but the Seattle
playing one of the
defense
toughest
gets after it.
in one of the toughest stadiums in the NFL, and they're trotting out a 44-year-old. And I did want to discuss this because I honestly cannot wait to see Phillip Rivers get his tits lit. Like, I still do not like that guy. I hated him when he was on the Chargers, being a Broncos fan, obviously. And then they showed videos of him on ESPN, like how much of a trash talker he is. This one defensive lineman knocks him down after Rivers throws a pass. The defensive lineman stays there, picks him up, and Phillip Rivers immediately gets in his face and goes, 90 yards for a tutty, just talking. And the defensive lineman had every right to like fucking punch him in the face right there and just didn't. But it seems like Rivers is just the most like ruthless, not real shit talker. Like, he never cusses allegedly, but just I would love to see that dude get buried. Like, give me that Seattle defensive line just coming through every time on a turnstile. The only tough thing that sucks for me is I do have Tyler Warren in a couple of leagues, and maybe he'll be kind of the binky for Phillip Rivers. Like, you got a 5-yard check down in the middle of the field. You see these guys coming through untouched. You just get it out to your big tight end over the middle. But I still just can't justify starting Tyler Warren. Like, Phillip Rivers could die by the end of this game. Like,
well, dude, I will say it just goes to show you, the more you watch like NFL football, and granted he's old, but he's not that old. He's not like 52 or 53. Like, he's still coaching.
Is up there. It's fucking.
I mean, it's up there, but it just goes to show you how important it really is when you know an offense. That's straight up how it goes, especially with NFL coaches. Like, if you know the offense, you can play or at least attempt to play, versus an athletic, younger quarterback that just can move around and has the athleticism and tools to play the game of football, but doesn't know your offense. Like, they're lost. They're completely lost and can't do anything. Like, they're going to be, and they have a great running game in Jonathan Taylor. So I think he'll get 30, 35 carries. But if they get down, which most likely is going to be the case against the Seattle Seahawks, you never know like what you're going to do. And the Colts season has just, I can't believe, like 4 weeks ago, we were like, fuck the Colts for the 1 seed. We gotta somehow, they got to lose a game or two here. And now it's like, are the Colts going to make the playoffs? I don't even know if they're going to make the playoffs.
Yeah, the football season is so long and everyone loves to overreact. Like, the Colts and the Chargers were anointed by everybody the first 3 weeks. And don't get me wrong, the Chargers do look pretty good, all things considered, but they're just banged up every year. It just feels like they can never get away from that. So, but at the end of the day, there's 18 weeks. You can't, after 4 or 5 weeks, you can't just say that this team is going to do this or this team. And that is what's truly one of the most impressive things to me about the Broncos is, you win 4 games in a row, you win 5 games in a row. That's great. We're on a fucking 10-game win streak right now. And it's 11 games. We're on an 11-game win streak because we started
10.
Oh, I'm sorry. We beat the Titans week 1 and then lost the next 2 weeks. But either way, I think that it's just impressive to have this sort of longevity throughout a season, because a whole season is, it's 4.5 months. Like, it's not a short time. It's a long time.
The last time they lost, it was September. There was green grass everywhere. It was a completely different time in the calendar. And now it's their next chance to lose won't be till December 14th. So Sunday. And that'll be almost a 3-month full span of no like Monday losses or sad Sunday nights. Just been like, oh, they won again. Again. It's been an insane run.
And I will say that the 2 games we lost at the beginning of the year, I didn't know if my fandom had ever been tested as much as it did, because losing 2 last-second field goals, I think my girlfriend was ready to break up with me. She's like, if you're going to be like this all of football season, I can't do this. And I'm like, my team can't do this to me. Like, what? This isn't my fault. This is their fault. Like, go talk to them.
Yeah, I fully crashed out, and I've honestly I think I bet somebody that we wouldn't make the playoffs. I was like, there's no way they come back from this. I was so in a rut and I was
you in a
crashing out
nutshell,
so
dude.
hard.
You do some irrational shit when your teams lose. One last thing about Phillip Rivers, I don't doubt that he could mentally do it. Like he's, it's not your mentals that go. I'm sure he's still very mentally capable. I think his actual his high school football team that he coaches runs the same offense as the Colts. So I guess that's one of the reasons why he knows it so well, and a few other reasons, but I feel like we could see some all-time bad throws by him on Sunday. Like just ducks that would make Tim Tebow's look like fucking John Elway. Like I think he could he was not a hard thrower to begin with. That was never what he relied on, but you got to fit balls in windows. Like you can't just throw lollipops. You can't just be throwing lollipops out there and hoping that your fucking wide receivers get under him. So I will admit though that by the Colts, and also did you see that the Jim Irsay's daughter was on the field as Phillip Rivers worked out along with Shane Steichen? Like that feels like a little over the line. If I was the head coach, I'd be like, I don't need you babysitting me. Like,
well, she's the one that has to pay the money to sign him. Ultimately.
I get that, but that's being an NFL owner. Like, what is she going to say? No, is she going to be like, no, Phillip's not the guy? If Steichen, like, let's be real. It's ultimately Steichen's deal, and I'd be like, I got this. Just leave this to me, thank you. So that when I saw that, I'm like, oh god, it feels like Shane Steichen. It was his first day of like second grade, and his mom was like walking him into class. He's like, Mom, you can stay over here. I'm good. Like, I got this shit. So that kind of cracked me up. But I will say that that game is now must watch because you can't not see what Phillip Rivers is going to do, good, bad, or ugly. It's going to be entertaining. Phillip Rivers is probably one of the more entertaining quarterbacks of the earlier generation, and kind of gets forgotten about. And I would say that kind of segues Hideki Matsuyama's win at the Hero. He is like one of those guys that I feel like gets forgotten about. And then every time he wins, you're like, holy shit, Hideki's still really good at golf. Like, but I was kind of thinking on a grander scale, Hideki is probably like a top 12 player of the last decade. And when I don't know, it's just the star power, it feels like doesn't have the same push. Like Hideki, I wish he would be more relevant more often because he is like an international star, obviously in his home country. But I just wish he won a little bit more to keep everyone to have him in the forefront of everybody's mind. Because I always forget about Hideki, and then he pops out of nowhere, and he's still capable of playing some of the best golf in the world. Granted, there's 20 dudes, and there was about 10 guys within 10 of the lead, so it was not a super competitive tournament. Chris Gotterup lost by 22.
Yeah. Great all-time tweet from Chris Gotterup too, by the way. If you have never seen the meme with a YouTube video of Chris Paul hitting a jumper to cut the lead to 42, Chris Gotterup tweeted that after his Sunday round where he finished DFL, but DFL. Did you notice the other guy he tied with?
No.
Jordan Spieth. Spieth and him both shot even on the week.
That's not surprising. So yeah, he lost by 22 then. That's what's crazy to me is I was looking at the field. Do you know how much they each got paid for finishing DFL in that tournament?
$400K, $300K,
$150,000. But when you put it in terms of that's a Korn Ferry Tour win, like the discrepancy in professional golf and what these guys are getting paid is, I'm not saying 150,000 is crazy, but a Korn Ferry Tour win needs to be significantly more than that. Like they need to sort that shit out because that's the age old conversation. Like Ricky Fowler getting exempt into these signature no cut events where he's making a $300,000 or $400,000 check. When there's dudes, I would put money on there's guys on the Korn Ferry Tour right now that could go out and tee it up like head to head with a few of these dudes, maybe even Jordan Spieth any given week, and go out and beat them straight up like that. I understand that names mean something, but at some point you got to earn that shit. So,
yeah. Well, going back to Hideki, he is one in a playoff. It was him and Sepp Straka down the end, and then I think it was Alex Noren that ended up going into the playoff with Hideki Matsuyama. But your point on Hideki, he has won enough in his career to where you forget about him in between the wins, and then he wins again just to remind you that he is as good as he is. Like, it was just like the Masters. The year he won the Masters, he came out of absolutely nowhere. There was very minimum, there's going to be a ticket on him from somewhere, probably a lot of Asian people betting on him. Of course, he's one of the better Asian golfers of all time, but nobody was like, oh yeah, Hideki's a favorite this week, or he's a guy that to look for this week. And then he goes out and wins the Masters, and kind of same story. I don't know. Did he win it all in 2025? Hideki, check that and see. I don't think he's won in 2025 at all, and then goes on and wins the Hero World Challenge.
That was his own. He only had one top 10 this entire season.
Yeah, that's and then he
insane.
And like the Purple Kool-Aid says here, he and his caddy had one of the best Masters moments of all time. It was like it's created me. Mitchell and I started doing that last year when we played in our member guests. We were like, hey, every time we make a birdie, we should bow. Instead, we were too fucking in the moment to think about doing that every time. That's got to be a learned behavior.
And maybe a little too drunk. Yeah, we should start practicing that. But yeah, he's had a pretty rough year by all accounts. I mean, he made 20 cuts though, so he's just playing almost every weekend and not even sniffing. Like, talk about just an all-time middle of the field year for this dude.
All-time mid.
And actually looking at his stats here, it's pretty interesting. So last year he played 20 events. He won twice and had 7 top 10s and made 19 cuts. So he had a much better year last year. But statistically speaking, it's funny because Hideki, I would consider his swing being relatively steep. Like, his hinge is a lot more vertical. He's definitely a fader of the ball, especially off the tee. But his driving stats are dog shit. Like, so strokes gained this year, he was 24th total in strokes gained, 139th off the tee, 19th in approach, and 110th putting. So he drove it like shit and putted it like shit. And I would generally say Hideki, he's never really been a super strong driver. He's always been a great iron player, and then he's always made putts. So it almost points to his putting this last season being the reason why he just didn't have the high finishes that we're used to seeing him have. But he can still, get it, like, his proximity on almost all approach, and his around the green stats are very good too, but his putting and his driving have just been bad. So kind of an interesting, look at him, because you never really dive into these guys' stats very often. You know what I mean? So how old do you think he is?
37.
He's only 33. He's
Damn.
Feels like he's been around for so
tour.
long. Yeah. Oh, dude. Yeah. It's not the years, it's the miles. Like, it feels like Hideki has got some miles on him. And especially because he and a lot of these international guys are such grinders that they're playing all the time. I would love to see this dude's mile tracker, like what he's flying yearly, because it's got to be absurd.
Yeah, well, that kind of segues us into, unless you want to have anything on Hideki, it segues us into another Asian golfer that's just a complete grinder and playing all the time, in Siwoo Kim. And as of me writing this title, Siwoo Kim seemed like a lock to head over to LIV Golf. But now you sent me an article from, I'm going to get this correct here.
Come correct
on this. Mail, Mail business newspaper out of Korea is reporting that 4-time PGA Tour winner Siwoo Kim has decided to remain on the PGA Tour following an offer from LIV Golf, with the report citing an official from Kim's team. Early reporting suggested that Kim was in the late stage negotiations with LIV, along with another high-profile South Korean, but had a deal not been agreed yet at that time. Oh my God!
Yeah.
Well, so
good reading.
So long story short, Siwoo Kim and Sunjae Im, two of the more premier tour players, definitely the most premier tour players from Korea, whether north or south. I think they're both south. North Korea, I don't think.
I'm so bad at the whole north and south. I think north is there's no golfers from there because you're not allowed. There's
yeah, exactly. You're in the military or you just live there. That's kind of how it goes. But yeah, they're both not joining LIV, and now it's. Do you think LIV is? Because I honestly going into this off season, and I didn't think we'd see a ton of guys jump necessarily, but we've seen a good amount. We've seen some younger players sign with LIV. We've seen, a couple we've seen players go back to the PGA Tour or the DP World Tour from LIV. But I thought once they announced that they were going to 72 holes, that it would be much easier for players to say, all right, I'm going this way. But now, honestly, like it feels like they made that investment in their product or whatever you want to call it. They made a decision that you thought would then influx the players and create even more competition with the PGA Tour. And it hasn't happened. And so now it's like flipping the tables completely over to where it's like, is LIV ready to be done? Yeah. Is it going to be done in 3 years? It's crazy to think about the change there where they, you put all this money in, or you put this idea in that you feel like is going to work and help you. And when it doesn't, you're like, well, that was kind of one of our last bullets in the chamber to really grow this side of the golf game, essentially, with LIV. And now it feels like it's going the other way. And like Purple Kool-Aid says, the Brooks news too is a huge thing hanging over them because he was one of the first guys to go, one of the real competitors, because we're not LIV stands by any means, but I've actually got my Ripper GC. Shout out Cam Smith taking second in the Australian Open this weekend.
Shout out cousin Cam.
But we've monitored it, and we haven't been like poo-pooing it like a lot of people in the golf world. But Brooks Koepka was really one of those guys that's not the Lee Westwoods and the Ian Poulters and the Henrik Stenson, who is honestly making the move back, but like the guys were the has-beens. Yeah, exactly. Brooks Koepka and Bryson DeChambeau are arguably the two guys where you're like, okay, these guys, and Rahm, where they made the jump, but with their major exemptions, they're going to be in a lot of majors going forward, and you expect them to be a player in those, not just I got in, I'm going to show up and shoot 2 rounds over par and miss the cut. Like you're like every major that rolls around, whether our betting cards are good or not, Rahm, Brooks Koepka, and Bryson are always on my cutting room floor in my card.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And that's, like you said, the Brooks news, it feels like they're at risk of losing players as opposed to gaining players, where earlier it felt like the news of possibly adding Siwoo Kim, possibly Sungjae Im. It's like, oh shit, okay, LIV still has their fastball a little bit, and I think LIV is just realizing that you can only throw so much money at something, and at the end of the day, if it's not going to work, it's not going to work. So I just don't know when they're going to cut bait with this. Like they've already spent billions and billions of dollars on this venture. Like the amount of money that they've thrown around is wild. So they're pot committed at that point, but it's like, how long do you do this? Whereas if they're just going to lose players and continue to not add any new like big names like they've been trying to do, then it just seems like a zero-sum game for them. They're just not going to win no matter what they do. So it will be interesting to see. I know there's a little bit of not news about, but seeing if they could get world ranking points because of playing the amount of holes, obviously playing 72 versus 54. But either way, it's going to be an interesting year to see who then gets can earn an exemption into majors from, because this could almost be like a testing ground as well, where if this year you have half a dozen guys that earn exemptions in the majors from the LIV Tour that have previously not been exempt, then guys can be like, okay, this is a different path. Like this is almost the DP World Tour, but obviously a different, slightly smaller international tour. And I still ultimately do think there's a place in golf for this international tour, but it needs to be all the best players. It can't be some of the best players and then a bunch of fucking nobodies. But even like Davis Puig was one of the, or Puig, however you pronounce it.
David Puig. David.
David.
Man Bear Puig.
Yeah, Man Bear Puig. He went and won on the DP World Tour a couple weeks ago, and he left LIV. And that, I'm not saying he's like a big get, but there is guys that are starting to leave. And I'm sure Brooks really regrets, because I know Brooks said he did it because he was injured and he didn't have guaranteed income. And that is just the reality of golf, is you're at the whim of your injuries. If you can't stay healthy, then you can't go out and make money. Like, that's just how it goes. But now he's fully healthy, and it just feels like he doesn't get his competitive itch scratched by the LIV Tour.
Yeah, well, and the other thing I was thinking about when we were talking about both Minwoo Lee, not Minwoo Lee, Sunjae Im, and who's the other guy now? Siwoo Kim. That was super racist misinterpretation of who's going. But I was looking through the LIV Golf players, and there's only one player from South Korea. And if you could get a couple of guys like that, if you're looking from the LIV Tour side, you're like, okay, well, we could gain another country of eyeballs. You know, if you get not that America is just a melting pot, so it's hard to gain Americans' eyeballs on anything new, really. But if you're going to go all in on some of these certain countries and get their people, like looking through the teams, you know, it's hilarious because the Ironheads, the only other player from South Korea is Yubin Jang. I don't know if you ever heard of him. Yubin Jang is on the Ironheads. And then they have 3 other players: Kevin Na, USA, sure. Junichiro Kuzama from Japan, and Danny Lee from New Zealand, sure. But they're all very much fit that same bill. And you never know who would have gotten kicked off of the Ironheads if they would have gotten Sunjae Im and Siwoo Kim. But you're gaining eyeballs of those countries because they're top players. Like, I'm pretty sure, I would like to see the numbers, but I'm pretty sure that in Australia, a lot of people are tuned in to LIV to watch Cam Smith and Mark Leishman and guys like that play on the LIV Tour more than they are the PGA Tour, when there's not that hometown, if you will, or home country connection.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And I would also say, just in general, countries outside of America are a little bit more open-minded to becoming fans of new things. Whereas like the PGA Tour, Americans think it's like steeped in tradition and it's the almighty, like, and the majors are ultimately what people play golf for, why guys turn pro, why, like, that's the mountaintop, that's the pinnacle. But the PGA Tour itself, like, I'm sure, Australians could take it or leave it. A lot of,
well, like, even I'll butt in here, but just kind of proving the point. So looking through the LIV teams, Stinger GC has Louis Oosthuizen, Dean Burmeister, Brendan Grace,
South
and Charles
African
Schwartz,
team.
and Charles Schwartz are all from South Africa. And so, who do you think South African people that are into golf are what league they're going to pay attention to? It's going to be the LIV Tour. And then you go to, where was the other team that I saw? Well, you've got Rom from Spain, and then you got the Fireballs, who have Sergio, Jose Luis Ballester, new piston in the Rays Creek to the LIV Tour, and then David Puig, who are all from Spain. So if you're from Spain and growing up and watching golf, you're probably watching the LIV Tour. Like that's got to be their strategy, and that's probably trying to get Siwoo Kim and Sunjae Im to come over. That was like, all right, now we can gain another entire country. It's like Risk, playing the game Risk. Chief, if you're listening to this pod, you'll enjoy this. But like, they're just gaining countries of viewership and trying to take over the best players from they don't need 100 players. They don't need 120 player fields to get eyeballs on it. You get 1 or 2 of those countries' guys, and they're like, oh, we're locked in.
Oh, for sure. No, that's a good point. And I'm just interested more at the TV ratings, because obviously that's American TV ratings, where we see there's 120,000 people watching the LIV Tour on a Saturday afternoon or whatever. Excuse me. But there's so many other ways to consume it, that I would be curious as to, like, if there's actually some pretty big international numbers from these different countries on YouTube, on, different streaming apps that I'm sure aren't even available in America, to watch these guys play on a weekly basis. So speaking of playing golf, a lot of social media influencers and just guys in general, golfers in general, have been posting a Spotify Wrapped type of year-end summary of, I think it's number of rounds played, highest score, lowest score, favorite golf course, and handicap at the beginning of the year versus end of the year, and then most frequently played golf course. So out of all those things, what do you think stands out to you the most? Because there's one that just popped into my head that I think is complete bullshit about what all these people are posting.
Well, do you think is the handicap at the beginning of the year and the end of the year? Because that's the one I honestly would like to do this. Let's do our own Spotify Wrapped. Well, first of all, what do you think is bullshit? Let's hear that.
I think the high scores are bullshit. Like,
oh, you think everybody's highest score? They're like, nah, I'm not posting that.
No, they're like, you're a 4 handicap and your highest score is 86. Absolutely not. Like, you clearly haven't played hard enough golf, or you're a liar. Or once you get into the 90s, you just don't keep track and post it. Like, I've gotten close to shooting 90, and I would consider myself a pretty fucking good golfer on a normal basis, you know, relative to everyone else. So I just think the high scores are pretty wild. Like, I think Dan Rappaport said his high score was like 84 or 86. I'm like, no fucking way, dude. I guarantee you shot close to 90 at one point or another. Yeah. That's what I think is bullshit. But I also think it's just another opportunity for these rich fucking country club kids to be like, oh, I played this course. I played this, like Rick Golfs on Twitter of the world. Oh, I played in Albany at the Bahamas. It's $4,000 a tee time. Like, nobody gives a baker's fuck where you get out and play golf. Like, congratulations, you have access to this course. But I feel like it's like golf Twitter burner accounts, and I'll get into that here for my what the fuck Thursday or Wednesday. But go ahead.
I was just gonna say I'll do. Let's do our best guesses at a Spotify Wrapped.
Okay.
So number of rounds, I would say 25 to 30. That's where I'd be, around 25 to 30 rounds this year. Full 18-hole rounds. I guess if you're talking 9 holes, just anytime getting out on the golf course, I'd say I'm probably in the 40 range. 40 would be about it for me. High score, I definitely don't keep it when it gets to a certain point, but I'd say I'd probably shot 90 somewhere. 85 to 90 would be the range. Low score. What is my low score this year? I think I fired 1 under, or even par 1 under at Inverness. I think 70 would be my low. And then
I feel like you gotta be lower than that, but I could be wrong. No, what's your fire at Sand Hollow for
oh, there you go. Good call out. Yeah, bachelor party back in May. I fired 68. No, I actually fired 70 on there too, but it was 2 under. So low. My lowest under par was definitely that one. I had a chance to par 18 and shoot 69, and I fucking blew it right, and then blew it over the green by the fucking temporary sprinklers, and then chipped it to 25 feet when my chipping was fucking dialed all day and made bogey. So 70 was my lowest, but 2 under par. My average
you shock me with how well you managed to go shot for shot in a round of golf that you played 8 months ago.
Well, it that stood out because I knew the whole time.
Last 2.
I just bogeyed the last one. I birdied 16, and that's when in my head I was like, all right, I birdied 17, par 5, birdied 17. I was like, oh, 69 watch. I just won at 6-9. And then I bogeyed. Of course, I just went up to 18 thinking about shooting 69 the whole fucking day and didn't, couldn't do it. My average, I'd say my average for an 18-hole round was probably 76-ish. Weird spot to freeze my screen at. Terrible spot. Hope that's not frozen for all the people out there. I don't know. You can still hear me, right?
It froze. Yeah, I can hear you, but it was frozen for me. It was a good look.
And then most played would definitely be Inverness. I think I probably played there at least 12 to 15 rounds of my 30. And then favorite was Sand Hollow because number 1, it was sick, and number 2, I just balled the fuck out all day long. And best visit would just I think that
What does
was
that even mean?
I'm looking off Jake Marsh's, the one that you sent me. So that's probably for people that go to visit golf. I don't think we visited any singular
Maybe the
golf
Waldorf
tournament.
Astoria in
Yeah,
Orlando.
exactly. There you go.
That was a nice visit. That looked nice. Guess your hand, like throw out a handicap. And it probably didn't change much from, it may have gone down this year for you. I'd say you played quite a bit of solid golf.
Dude, I don't know. Like, what do you think my handicap? Like, I'd be if I posted all my scores, would I be like a solid? Maybe next. I think 2026. I'll make a resolution to get a handicap. It won't be official. It'll be like some side show app, but that does the same thing, but doesn't. But I think I'm probably a solid 3, maybe a 2 or a 3, right?
Well, what's the rating from the back tees at Inverness? Do you have any clue? You should know this about your home club. It's a par 70. I bet the rating is like 70, between 71.5 and 72.5. If I had to take a guess.
So, from the Blues, it's 72.9.
Damn, that's pretty high for a par 70.
Yeah, tough golf course that I play every day, man.
Yeah, I would say then you're probably in the 1 to 2 range if I had to bet, or maybe like it is truly shocking when you see what guys' handicaps are versus what their average and their low and their high scores are. So I think you're slightly lower than you. I think you're solid like 1 or a scratch, but you just have a high ceiling. Like when it gets crooked, it's crooked as shit.
You mean low floor?
Yeah,
I do have I have a mediocrely high. I have like an 8-foot ceiling, but I have a basement. I have a fucking like the zombies are coming basement low floor.
Yeah, you got a hell level basement, like fucking all the way to the core of the earth. If I had to guess, I'd probably say I've played around like 40 to 45 rounds this year. Do you think
fucking give me?
You think I played more? Maybe 50?
Probably 80.
No, fuck no, dude. I don't really play during the summer. Like I play more in the fall and in the spring than I do in the summer. I would probably bet around 50 or 45 to 50. I would bet. What was the next one? High score, low score.
Yes. High and low.
I fired 68 somewhere. Where was it? I can't remember. I fired like 3 or 4 under. Oh, fuck me. I cannot even remember where it was. I just know that I did because I remember looking at the scorecard and being like, how did I shoot 68? Like
I think you sent it to me from somewhere.
Yeah. Where was I?
You're like, I just fired crisp. It wasn't even a good 1 or 2 under. I don't remember where you were though.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, dude, simulator golf, I am a fucking rock star. Like my handicap on TrackMan's like plus 8.5. I think my scoring average is like legit fucking 68. 60. Like I'm PGA Tour level numbers on the simulator. I don't know why that is or how that works, but I need to start playing in those sim golf tournaments. I actually might do that this winter just to get my jollies off. But putting and chipping in the simulator is going to make me want to jump off the nearest tall building because that shit's just impossible. My scoring average, I would say, is somewhere between like 74 and 73 and 75. If I had to take a random guess, probably around the 74 range. Handicap, probably around scratch, whatever, maybe, plus 1 to 2 on any given day. Or I really don't even know how the handicap system works, but based off what I used to be versus what I am now. My favorite new
Which course did you play the most? Which course did you play the most? Was it Inverness?
I may have played
probably 7, 6, 7, 8 times. 6, 7.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, I probably played Inverness the most or the Rose where I teach, but the problem is I always play 9 to 12 holes there. Like I think I've played in the 2 years I've taught out there, I've probably played legit full 18 like 5 or 6 times. Like it's just not that convenient. Like it's not super close. So when I'm there, I'm teaching. And when I'm teaching, I don't also want to play. Like I don't want to spend 13 hours of my day down there. So I probably played Inverness the most. I'm trying to think of my favorite new golf course that I played. Matita Conk was awesome. Oh, my highest score was probably like at Matita because I almost died. Like I thought I was going to die out there. It was like 93 degrees, 80% humidity. At one point, I started looking around like that Mr. Krabs meme where he's like sweating and the whole room is shaking. That's how I felt out there because I'm like, fuck me. We were walking. I'm like, my pants were just, my boxers stuck to my legs. My shirt stuck to my back. I felt like a fucking animal. But I probably shot like high 80s if I had to guess. I did end up throwing a few birdies out there, I remember, but it was just not my day. And it's just one of those where the round goes slightly downhill and then you start focusing more on the conditions and how annoying how annoyed you are about the conditions, because the course itself was fucking tits. And to make matters worse, I just remembered I decided to wear a brand new pair of golf shoes that day walking, and I had to change my shoes on the turn because my ankles were just my heels were so fucked up from the new shoes. Like, of all people, I've had terrible feet my entire life. I was born with a club foot, so my feet are naturally kind of fucked up anyway. Of all people in the world, like, who am I to think that I should throw a brand new pair of shoes on and think that's going to go well? So that was probably my highest score, but honestly, probably my favorite new course that I played because it was fucking sick. Hard as hell, but sick track. And then I think that's it. Does that cover it for me?
That covers it. You got them all. You got your best and high. It's ironic that your favorite course and your highest score were together. I would not expect that from somebody like you and most people in general. I don't enjoy fucking getting my asshole. I don't enjoy getting. What is that? I don't enjoy getting. What was the quote today that we were talking about from Spittin' Chicklets?
Oh, getting your asshole teed off on.
Yeah, I don't enjoy getting my ass teed off on by a golf course and then think I love it. All right, let's wrap this pod up with a little WTF Thursday. I'll start off with mine. So from my week of traveling, or my couple days of traveling, the people in front of me. So this is an overnight flight that I took, which was kind of cool, actually. The airport was very chill when I got there at like 10 p.m. I had a whole row to myself, so I got to lay down. But the people in front of me, they had strap-on pillows that strapped onto the seat. And then, which you may enjoy this, part of it was also included a mask that strapped over their face. So their head was basically strapped in.
That would be electric. I might have to look into one of those, because whenever I catch myself falling asleep on the airplane, I have to then catch myself waking up from like falling forward and probably snoring, and just trying not to be a nuisance to the people around me. So yeah, I might need like a straitjacket type of scenario for when I get on the plane.
Yeah, it was wild. They just like both strapped these contraptions on, and then they laid back, and then they strapped the mask over, and their heads were just like this. I just laid down like a Neanderthal for fucking 3 hours. Nobody in my row, which was great. That is so but also, in kind of including on my trip, Disney adults are the weirdest fucking group of humans in this entire planet. Sorry if you are one and you're listening. I don't hate you personally, but getting to my hotel, and it was pretty close to Disney, and there's like right when I'm first trying to get coffee in the morning, and there's two people with fucking Mickey Mouse ears walking up to the coffee stand, both middle. Now let me get this straight here too. This is just strictly adults. If I'm at Disney World with my son, he wants me to wear a fucking Mickey Mouse hat, I'm going to do it, but when they have no kids around and they're wearing Mickey Mouse shit, not for me, dude. Well, I love Ben from our Dallas market. He was down there with, he was doing video recording content and stuff. And he was recording a video. Their manager was right before our manager on the press conference row or whatever. He's recording the video of the press conference as his guys asking some questions and whatnot. And I look up and I'm like, why has he got a fucking green watch on? Like, this guy's a 40-year-old man. And it was his like fast pass family member fucking Disney all-time season pass deal that he was like, yeah, I'm going down there afterwards. And I was like, oh my God. Okay.
Well, you and I just had this discussion today because your birthday is tomorrow. Happy early birthday.
Woo!
Big Drive Spence. He's 32 tomorrow.
32.
But
nothing new.
You and I literally just had this conversation today where I don't feel like we're ever going to look at each other and be like, this is a grown adult man. Like, I think just because of the way we know each other from being kids up until being in our 30s, like, I don't think I'll ever look at you and be like, Jesus, dude, like I'm always just going to see like 12-year-old you. So I don't know if I can ever feel like and I see myself the same way, unfortunately. But you and I don't feel like adults. I think we need to revamp our thought process on that after seeing people in their 40s walking around with fucking red mini skirts on and fucking Disney, like Mickey Mouse ears like that. If we're not adults, they're like toddlers. They're infants, because that shit, like, can you imagine? And it kind of goes along the same lines as like a super fan of a football team that paints their entire body and gets all dressed up and shit. And you're like, where do they go to work the next day? Like, do you just have a complete alter ego, like where you're this adult here and then you go to Disneyland and you just become a kid again? Like, is that what the allure of it is? Or are you just a Disney adult at work with like Beanie Babies on your fucking desk in your cubicle? And like, I don't really know how that operates. I wouldn't call myself the biggest adult in any room that I go into, but that is where I draw the line. I'm like, I can't live in this fucking fantasy land of cartoons, and I need some real life shit. My what the fuck Wednesday, Thursday is the other night I was in Charleston. I was up late watching I think the Avs game that was on until like 1 a.m. unfortunately. So I don't know why that makes an excuse for me to stay up, because I'm not really a guy that sleeps or stays up that often that late. But I was scrolling Twitter and I had all the time in the world, and I'm just sick of seeing these Twitter golf burner accounts posting just nonsense slop dog shit. And this dude was talking about the golf swing and talking about how being steep in the golf swing, how there's plenty of people who play good golf from it. And he posts videos of Shane Lowry and Freddie Couples and like, oh, they can do it. So why would you teach? And they're calling it big shallowing, like that, like the, big shallow culture. And I am not one to teach like shallowing by any means, but there's no teacher in America that will teach steepening of the club just flat out. They're not going to be like, so what you want to do is suck it way inside, get it way across the line, then fucking kick your hands out, pull that club straight down behind you like that. It's the most asinine thing. And just to compare a tour player to your beginning average run of the mill 18 handicap, 30 handicap, whatever, and telling them to do that because this guy does that is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard in my fucking life. So I got into it with this guy. He basically didn't answer any question that I posed. He pulled like what you do with your son, where you don't want to do something, or Sawyer asks for something and you don't want to give it to him. So you ask him if he wants something else. You deflect, you just rotate. He like wants another pouch. You're like, how about this? You're never like, no.
I do that. How about an apple?
Yeah, you're the fucking king of that, bro. You're the king of a diversion. Just give him something else. But so he wouldn't answer my questions. And so then I basically say what I just said. And he goes, I don't even know if we're on the same planet, bro. Good luck. And then he blocks me. And he fucking like talk about you're blocking someone from a burner account. Like, who the fuck cares? Like, and that just goes to show you how much internet clout means to these fucking losers, that they don't want somebody talking shit about their burner because he's got like 3,500 followers. Like, anybody gives a fuck about how many followers you have on Twitter. I was like, dude, you got to be softer than baby shit to block me after this conversation. Like, it was just a conversation, and I just called him out and I was like, this is bullshit. And then just immediately blocked. Like, that is him and Brandel Chambly can both fucking kick rocks for all I care. Cause like, dude, just you're wrong. Just suck it up. And that, but is there anything more gratifying than when somebody you like are getting into it with them and they just block you? You're like, I won. I immediately won. Like,
it's over for you.
Yeah, you're done. And so I posted a screenshot of that. If you look at my Twitter, it's just a bunch of fucking losers out there, dude. Like, Oh, golf burner accounts fire me up. I almost want to start one, but not be a total chode. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But the idea of a burner account is electric, but then you just have people spewing fucking nonsense. And they don't even like getting called out for it. So
no. Well, we are going to wrap this pod up. Have everybody have a great weekend. Make sure you're following us on all the socials at Big Drive Energy Golf on Instagram. We appreciate you all tuning in. Give us a thumbs up if you're watching this on the YouTube. We'd appreciate that. And enjoy your weekend. We're getting closer and closer to Christmas. Holiday season feels great. Mitch is going to be out in Colorado next week. He's missing Broncos Packers with me, but that's fine. He will be out next week, and we're going to go Broncos Jaguars. Excited for these last 4 weeks of football, getting into 2026. The next couple of shows, we'll do some maybe previews of 2026, do some interesting talk about the PGA Tour, the LIV Tour, what to expect from golf moving forward. But until then, enjoy your weekend. We'll talk to you next Wednesday. Peace.
peace.